Good morning. It is 7:50 a.m. on Tuesday, July 28th, 2020. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I've been sort of getting up in slow motion for a little while. This is 5 more minutes. So first, I want to thank everybody for wishing me, sending me well wishes for my migraine yesterday. I do feel better. That's not 100% yet. The pattern that my migraines tend to take is that there's the one day where, well, like, first of all, when I get a migraine, it's not as severe as I know the migraines some people get are. So thank goodness for that. I mean, I know some people that are just completely incapacitated by them, and they can really just do nothing at all except just lay in a dark room and feel miserable. Thankfully, mine are not that severe. I mostly am, like, I'm pretty functional. Like, I can do pretty much anything I need to do. I just don't feel good. um, but yeah, so my pattern is that, I have the one day where it's really mostly the headache, and then the headache kind of fades, and it's more like slight perception and stomach things that gradually kind of fade away. And so I'm kind of in that stage right now where better, the progression is progressing the way it should, and I'll be fine. So yeah, that's kind of where all that's at. So yesterday I ended up putting on a movie um, where I watched Lawrence of Arabia because it's the next movie on the AFI list. And I talked about Lawrence of Arabia on one of these videos back when last year when I got to see it on a big screen. And it's it's such a good movie, and I have appreciated it more every time I watch it. I think the first time I ever watched it, I really just sort of saw it like a big adventure movie, and so mostly I liked the adventure parts, and then didn't like as much the parts where it started getting kind of more serious and being more about the issues that Lawrence kind of had and having his whole adventure sort of go wrong. But seeing it with a more mature, sort of sophisticated eye, first of all, it's still gorgeous, and the adventure parts are exciting. But one of the things that I think is interesting about it is that it's such a trope now, the idea of the white savior, or sometimes, it's the so-called mighty whitey movie where you have a white character go to an exotic foreign land and then turn out to be better than the natives at all of the things that they do, and to help them save the day because they couldn't possibly do it for themselves, of course. And, so there's those sorts of narratives. And what's interesting about Lawrence of Arabia is that for a lot of the movie, it would maybe seem to be sort of leaning in to that type of story. But then the back half of the movie is all about how it really stops being about helping the people there and does start being about, Lawrence himself. And he kind of gets sort of delusions of grandeur and starts believing that he is like literally unkillable and that he can do impossible things, and it stops actually being about helping them and starts being more about, like, well, I said we were going to go take this city before the British military could get there, and so we're going to do that, even though it has long since stopped making sense for the people that I am theoretically helping. Um, and on top of that, he really ends up just kind of getting ultimately manipulated by the very British military that he sort of claims to be wanting to resist. So, so like, but to have him sort of recognize that by the end is, it's a little bit of a, like, I mean, it's kind of a sad ending to what starts off as feeling like a fun adventure, but it's interesting how it actually subverts those tropes that then I think a lot of other movies kind of like, not that those types of stories didn't exist before, but a lot of other movies maybe kind of started to say, well, you know, the early part of Lawrence Arabia was fun. What if we just kept it fun? Instead of acknowledging how when you try to make a revolution about yourself personally and not about the people you're theoretically helping, is like, but yeah, I don't know. There's like several places in there too where like a scene will happen that starts to get framed one way by the British characters, like, oh, these soldiers are, these Arab soldiers have robbed this train and now they're just looting and they're gonna leave and stop fighting, and but then like the Arab characters are like, what? Don't British soldiers get paid? Of course they do. Don't they want to go home when they have what they want? And it's like, well, but they don't. It's like, well, because they're not allowed to. And if you don't want to go home once you have the things you want, then you're a fool. So it's like, I anyway, it's good. It's a great movie. It's so good. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there and talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.